So that means we are back for another episode. This is Square Grouper. My name is Fox, my co-host Dave. Thank you for listening in with us again. It's been a crazy couple weeks. You know, we been floating around doing some things. We had Mother's Day come up. Now it's Memorial Day weekend. Been floating around here in Ohio, checking out some local events while I've been also looking to what I'll be doing in Florida in July, which I'll actually talk on this episode a little bit. But we do have some news. We've got a couple other good things to talk about, but also, honestly, we're just trying to burn one for Memorial Day weekend and talk some shit with you guys. A lot of people have requested and asked when we're dropping the next episode. I just want to say, for all those who have been listening so far, thank you so much. We absolutely love and appreciate your support, and we look forward to keep adding content while also exploring the ideas of what I'll be doing down the road for some video stuff, as well as maybe even planning something to do for Florida, specifically, even if it's something small. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a great day. The weather's been lovely. The news has been interesting, and the scene in cannabis is forever changing. What's going on with you, Dave?
Oh, not much. Just been raining down here in Florida a lot lately, and the news is kind of slow ever since Smart and Safe's kind of moved on to Supreme Court review, which hasn't happened yet. There was this interesting article here about Ron DeSantis. I know we keep talking about if it does make it to the governor's desk, is he going to sign it? And then now, of course, that he's, said that he's going to run for president. People are wondering, how his views on cannabis are, right? Because Joe Biden lied to us. Obviously isn't going to change anything before he leaves office. So, yeah, if DeSantis was to win, which I'm not saying is going to happen, we just want to know, what are the odds of...
So what are the choices this year? You've got Brown Trump coming back again, and the old guy, right?
Yeah, I think you got...
Oh, they heard us talking. They're coming to get us.
Yeah, I know.
That could have been more perfectly timed.
I think I can mark this clip.
No, that was funny.
Oh, shit, I don't know what that did, actually. But anyway, okay. I think, it's the old dude, and then Bo Jiden, and then...
I don't trust any politician, good, bad, ugly, whatever, no matter what side they are. Like, I don't care, not like that. So from looking at it on the outside, I could possibly see like, okay, you've announced that you want to run for president. What would give you a huge boost before, stepping out of your essential backyard, which you essentially safeguarded to protect you from pretty much anything at this point, from all the things that I've read about what he's done and what he's implemented for himself while he's here. I would be more inclined to say that he would say, fuck it, and allow it, gain popularity with a new audience, and then move,
right.
Because, and with any political aspirations, you've got core supporters, but you're constantly looking to grow new ones. And at some point with certain subjects, you obviously, when it comes to money and this particular issue, I want to say now that in your party, you probably have enough younger candidates that have all of this new money that could fairly compete, especially his stance on crypto makes me double down on this statement, where I feel like he's talked about protecting Bitcoin. I think he might be gearing himself to attach his support to a younger audience, and what better way than to talk about crypto and legal cannabis and open up the gates for people who are in the same tax bracket, but, are much, much younger, therefore, to me, it's what gangs do. It would be no different, right?
Right.
That's just, I know it's fucked up, to look at it that way, but
No, but
that's how I look at it.
That's what it is. It's just legal, organized crime.
Yep. Yeah.
So here's an article. This is interesting. So this actually touches on a lot that you just said, and you haven't even read this yet.
Ooh, I love this. Yeah. Let's
I don't know how to say this dude's name. If he's listening, fuck you. But Lev Parnas.
Lev Parnas? I guess is
his name. Lev Parnas.
Lev Parnas.
So Lev Parnas claims to have spurred Ron DeSantis' evolution on marijuana. Oh. A man who says he was involved with Ron DeSantis' 2018 campaign claims to have spurred the governor's policy evolution on cannabis. Lev Parnas, who served time in prison for campaign finance crimes, is talking. Oh, here comes these fucking sirens again, dude.
Memorial Day weekend in South Florida. You're going to hear this all the time.
It means someone's dead on 95.
For sure. Be safe out there, guys. Obviously, this is coming out post, so I just hope y'all were safe.
Right. Okay, so Lev Parnas, who served time in prison for campaign finance crimes, is talking about text messages that show his unique role as a Sherpa for the 2018 campaign for the Florida governor. And he's contending to be part of the bargain of moving Donald Trump and the former donors, DeSantis included, I don't know what the fuck this means. And he's contending that part of the bargain of moving Donald Trump and the former president's donors to DeSantis, including moving the candidate on the issue of medical marijuana. I see. So he's got new donors.
So he's shifting the supporters, the financial, he's trying to shift their views from what, Trump supporters were doing down there to DeSantis, and then also sliding it over to the views that he had on cannabis, which I needed to have you read the rest of it to see whether that's going in a negative or positive direction.
He says, I was a very big cannabis supporter. I knew Ron at the time was not. He was anti-cannabis, Parnas told Jim DeFetti. And I made it clear to him, I said, listen, Ron, it's going to be very difficult for me to support somebody that's going against the things that I'm going to need and want in the state of Florida. so Lev's
true,
Lev's like, I need weed, and probably has some kind of, investment.
State. Yep.
And that's when Ron turned around to me and said, you know what? I would be open to thinking differently about cannabis if you were to give me Trump's support.
So right here we see all this money.
Yeah, so right here we see this is how Ron DeSantis went from saying that all the MSOs are cartels to supporting them right here. You can hear here. And that's when Ron turned around to me and said, you know what? I would be open to thinking differently about cannabis if you were to give me Trump's support, as Fox just said. Cha-ching. DeFetti notes that DeSantis evolved soon thereafter on medical marijuana, coming out in support of the substance by August of that year.
Just from hearing how corrupt this is, though, let me revise what I think he'll do. Unless there's a lot of money involved, you're probably not going to see it.
Which Trulieve has a bunch of money.
Yep. So, hey, maybe put the pieces together. I can't definitively say, hey, this is going to happen. Hey, it's not going to happen. But I think it might happen only because the right palms are getting greased, and then, so can you go back to talk about the original number of new applicants? Because I want to touch up on that.
So it looks like there were 74 applicants for Florida medical marijuana cannabis licenses for 20. How many were they giving out in the first round? 22 medical marijuana licenses during a 5-day application cycle that ended April 28th, so a month ago today.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy how time is flying.
Yeah.
Well, so a little birdie told me that they are down to closer to half of those applicants. So let's just
they're just throwing them out.
Yeah, so 43. And
no, that's interesting. So yeah, 74 people. It sounds like half of those applicants have, not had their application approved now. I don't think they're going to give out all 22 licenses since this is just the first 5-day application cycle. So we'll see how many are left or how many are chosen. I don't have all that info, guys. I have not been keeping up with the legal stuff as much as I used to.
So I think that they probably are going to go 22, bang.
You think they're just gonna bop them out like that?
Fuck yeah. I mean, well,
Then what's the point of them having the cycles though?
because they're overdue. We grew from 20,000 patients to 800,000.
So you think they're
there
gonna?
was
Do you think
no,
they're gonna give out 22 and then give out more?
because they should have doing this progressively as they went on. They shouldn't have waited till the patient count ballooned to almost 1 million to add so many. This also makes so it's cool. Like it's cool if you get the license. You're like, yeah, you're in the game now. But the problem is now there's 22 new people that are going to jump on board, and within the next,
Or maybe they're going to do this 10 Pigford licenses the next one. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you're right. They probably will just bang the motherfuckers out.
yeah. But no. You're right, though, because if they drop all at once, then you have 22 new producers drop all at once. This means you have 22 different companies of new dispensing centers dropping at once. What happens, like, okay, you as a kid, or you as an adult, right? If you're given a choice between one or two things that you really like,
I get overwhelmed and leave. Oh, no, sorry. I thought you meant if there was a bunch.
exactly, and that's my fucking point.
If there's just one or two, then I'll I don't know,
So imagine, like, you've got 22 new companies that drop, boom, and now it's a race for those companies to get up and running. So now here's where it gets more interesting, because I'm dissecting the essential thing. It's not as simple as being overwhelmed with all of that. Is on the patient side. You guys are looking at it like, damn. So as the producer side of it, you've got 22 people now who have licenses. Now we have to rush to get construction permits, rush to get approved, all the shit that comes with into like building things before you actually start growing or processing or doing any of that other shit. So that's like your phase one. Boom, you get that out of the way. Boom, and you get everything good. Then you have to start electric. Your HVAC. Any other. If you're processing, it's a whole nother thing with the electric. You have other needs depending on what solvents you're running. Whether you're just using solventless, your water and ice needs, your storage needs, your ice. Oh, dude, dog, I can go on and on and on. So. And you have to do that quickly because you and 21 other guys are doing the same fucking thing. Now.
And so you have $1 million renewal fee coming up in fucking 12 months after you got it. So you do want to rush to start having income.
1.2 or 3, actually. But yes, you're absolutely right. Yes, sir. They're like, we want the money after tax money. I'm like, damn, Florida, that's fucked up. So let's go back to the patient side of it. So now you know that you have 22 companies that are coming out of your state. Some of those names might be known to you. Some of them won't be. These companies are rushing to get out the door, not only because it's demanded at that point, but it's after you've put in so much capital, it's expected. You're gonna, regardless of what you think they're doing and they're producing your medicine. Very few, if any, of those producers actually have that in heart and mind to be the first thing. They'll say it is on paper, but it's all about ROI, return on investment. So you're going to get a lot of rushed weed. You're going to get rushed product. And they're going to use the culture to brainwash you into supporting their shitty first drops because everyone's rushing. So there's going to be very I want to name drop, but I don't want to. But I'm going to say this: shout outs to the companies and centers that took their time to actually not produce a ton of garbage and sort of understand that one on the cultivation side. Florida's just, even on the indoor, it's rough. It's an interesting climate to work in. And as most people, very few centers are running straight indoor. And even some of the ones that are, they're not running the best stuff. There's still
they drop the ball and dry and cure, I feel like.
100%, and especially more if it's outside. If you're not 100% on your shit, your pesticide game, all those things. It's sort of, it can become a lot. So sorry, I've got my dogs ripping just the gnarliest snores right now next to me. So it kind
I
of,
can't hear him. I can't hear him.
oh, I can just fucking.
That's
I mean,
funny.
he's happy, so I'm not gonna move. But whatever. Yeah. So you've got a lot of patients that are rushing, or I'm sorry, producers that are gonna rush to get products out to you because it's demanded of them within the license to have things out by X amount of days after they get awarded the license. So it's not like, I mean, it's a double it's a double bladed situation, like where it's like, okay, you want to take your time and you want to make sure everything's perfect, but you have X amount of days from the minute you get awarded to get something out the door. And so, and if it's in your plan to talk about, processing and and how in depth you are versus just being like, flour and pre-rolls and like, whatever.
And some people will be like, "Oh, well, True Leaf makes this much" when they're talking about getting a license. Well, yeah, True Leaf also got to sell fucking vapes and distillate for years, and
Yeah, they
they had like a
they took
handicap
and
advantage.
remediated the worst fucking biomass that they could, because with fractional distillation, you could really get almost everything out. There's a couple things that you can't get out, and even then, things were a little iffy. There was a lot of producers that didn't always put their best out, and they just wanted to get numbers out there. And companies like who you mentioned are very guilty of that, and they do not care. They're just a big faceless company that is just trying to pinpoint their place in a market and then hold it in a chokehold so that it's not about the patients, it's about their profits, regardless of what they say. If you believe a company does otherwise, or if you believe your company does otherwise, then I don't have to explain that to you because it should be shown to me in your products or the patients. Like, you don't have to show me shit. But end of the day, when the patients are the ones that are providing your return on investment, do right by them. Fuck your investors, do right by them, and you won't ever have a problem worrying about both. Because if you're successful and your drops keep selling out and people don't have, and I'm not seeing, on Reddit or Instagram or wherever patients want to post about the fact that they have bud rot or botrytis or mold, anything like that. And the fucked up part is, like, a lot of people don't have an eye for that shit, and they might just smoke that stuff and get sick or have a bad experience and be like, oh, just maybe weed doesn't do it for me. And I hate when people have the are torn between, was this a bad experience or a bad product, and
Overall, they usually just choose just to not do any of it anymore,
which then hurts the program. It hurts that patient from genuinely finding out the benefits of clean cannabis products.
It's like
it's an all-around loss, like you have to really try really hard to have them go around, or they meet someone genuine who wants to educate them, wants to apologize for the experience and try to just uplift them, in any way, whether it's not helping them understand that maybe, it was in the product and to try something else. So producers have a really hard job time in Florida. They're rushing under the gun to get their first drops in. And sometimes it's a hit and a lot of times it's a miss. The problem is consistency. You'll see centers that'll drop, I've seen, really good flower come out, but it's very inconsistent, and it's just like, okay, well, imagine when you have 22 other people that have 22 other grows and 22 other labs and 22 other kitchens to like figure out and rush everything. They don't really have genuinely any time to R&D your stuff or do anything. They really have to go with preset recipes, which sometimes are great, don't get me wrong, depending on what you can do and all that. But I just feel like the patients always come up short. And so now you can talk about it, this and that. I'm actually, part of the reason I'm going down to Florida is I'm going to be giving a little speech on the subject to a closed group that it pertains to in that state, to try to fix some of these fucking problems, you know? Regardless of where I am at the time, you know, I'm always focusing on, you know, back home for a lot of reasons, again, which we won't deviate too much from. But my biggest concern is once these licenses get awarded is, you know, are you going to have 22 rush jobs? Or are you going to have 5 rush jobs? How are they going to stagger those licenses for all the people that have already, you know, imagine like it's, you know, you're one of 73 or whatever the fuck it is, or however many people, you've all paid your fees, you're all done that. Do you want to be told that, you know, for the group that gets awarded of one of the 22 that, okay, we've got 22, but, you know, only 5 are coming on at a time every year. So that means someone at the end of it is going to be waiting, you know, 3 or 4 years potentially just to get their start. And I don't think that any company can really hold on that long without making money once they're invested. So, or it would be very, it's not something that anyone wants to do as a person, let alone a faceless corporation with a bunch of people's money invested, or just a lot of one money, you know?
I think the state wants to rob 73 people as many times as they can.
Oh, of course. That's probably
What if they're like, we picked one, we're going to have 73 cycles this year, 2023.
Yeah, so
I'm just joking. I'm being real negative. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, I could sort of see it though. It's nothing. My time working amongst those types of individuals have really shown me that anything's possible, and that goes both directions. So
I think the main killer is going to be the lawsuits after the decision.
Oh, for the people that don't get the 22 and how it holds up, it's going to fuck some people over.
Gonna hold it up.
I mean,
which is crazy that I mean, like, I get it that you're going to sue over it, but like, and obviously I want people to have that power against the state, but like at the same time, you would think the state would be like in the application, like, you can't sue us because we're trying to make these decisions and get more, you know, product to patients. Because, right, we just worry about people with shell companies trying to sue, to hold it up, to stop 22 new licenses from coming on the market. So who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
Hold on tight, guys. I think it's going to be a while before we see any new licenses. But you're right. When we think about the patient growth and how many they were supposed to give us and the fact that we still only have 22, even though those 22 have 550 plus stores across the state, which is fucking insane.
I think that what Florida should do is put a cap on any new growth for the existing licenses when they award the 22 new ones.
Yeah,
they should, no, truly. There's no reason for the existing ones. Like, if they haven't figured out and made a profitable business model where they're doing right by the patient, then there's no need for them to open any more locations.
Yeah, in the past 6 years. Yeah.
And then, you know, with what is being said about that adult use bill where existing centers can be used, then all right, cool. Then there's really no reason for the existing licensees to have any new locations. I think that's a monopoly. I think that's genuinely, you know, they'll fight it tooth and nail. But again, if we go back and ask, you know, if the states ask them to show their financial earnings from their first year of inception to now and show how much they've made every year, they might shut the fuck up. You know, because at that point, it's not the patients, the growing patients that you're trying to market. You're just trying to pocket off of them. And I wouldn't say those things if people didn't say, you know, if people were saying how stellar Florida's medical cannabis was, or, you know, how amazing it is, or you wouldn't hear those words come out of my mouth because you're obviously doing right by the patients. But here we are. And we're having this conversation. And I follow enough of them to know that a lot of them aren't happy, but it's like, you know, you've got 22 choices, you know, Or how many? No, it's like what, 15? How
It's
many?
22, but not all of them are active because there's like people on there with no location. It's just
That's true. There's still no Green Dragon, and there's still no.
no Green Dragon exists. They just fucking suck, bro. There was one in Tampa. That shit was trash. Sorry, Green Dragon. That was when you guys first opened. Maybe it's better. That's why I made that meme that said with the Jesse Pinkman screaming. It's like when you tell Green Dragon to sell their license now before they. But anyway, maybe they'll be okay. And then, but yeah, there's like Planet 13 doesn't have any locations open yet. Those other super custom.
I went to the one in Vegas, and I got to tell you, dude. Okay, let's talk about Planet 13 for a second. The aesthetics of like, oh wow, dude, there was a huge dispensary. You had like a fucking bakery and a coffee shop and all sorts of shit inside of it, and it was huge. It was like the size of a Bass Pro, like legit. It was massive. So. Mm-hmm. All the products laid out through a huge thing, like empty displays. And then there's certain like a Best Buy or a Target, there's aisle categories. You'd have like an electronics section or something like that. But no, you'd have a pre-roll section, a concentrate section, a big flower section, and then edibles and so on and
but
so
in Vegas, they're a retailer. They're not vertical, so they carry everyone's stuff in Vegas.
Yes, they do. But they also have their own. So here's my problem with Planet 13. They will sell you live rosin, quote unquote, but then it's really distillate.
What?
And they'll do the same thing with live resin. I went out there for BizCon with a group of people from Minnesota, and the owner was super cool, and he's like, "Hey, do you want something?" He bought me a vape cart, a live resin vape cart. It's super cool. Hey, no problem. Already super expensive for what it is. And then a couple of the other homies were buying other products here and there, and they all bought them from Planet 13, live resin, actual concentrate. Yeah, soup, dude, all of it was distillate. And I'm like, yo, it was just, oh yeah, it was terrible. I was just like, okay. I mean, that's why they have to sell you on the aesthetic of a pretty box, because you're getting a lot of shit. And then they pull together everyone's shit, because in Vegas, your retail, so all you have to do is slap in a pretty box, make sure it passed testing, and put in a store that looks more like, fucking Caesar's Palace than it does a dispensary. Which, don't get me wrong, the idea of it is cool if it's done right, or if you're being transparent, like if you're paying $80 for a fucking gram of live resin or live rosin, carts or concentrate or whatever, it should really be that. It shouldn't be relabeled distillate.
Yeah, that's all kinds of fucked up. That's almost as fucked up as this old man that swung on people in the True Leaf.
Oh, so that means it's time for our Florida Person of the Week.
Witnesses reported that Glenn Burr, a 71-year-old man from Vero Beach, became agitated, screaming and cursing at the staff and fellow patients in the waiting room. Despite attempts by another patient to calm the situation, Burr's anger escalated, and he even took a patient's sunglasses and broke them, valued at $250. Guaranteed
bring
they
your
were
Oakleys
Costas.
into the pot shop, man.
I think they were probably Costas, but we'll see. The office manager intervened, restraining Burr and removing him from the facility as they called the Sebastian Police Department to the dispensary. Officers arrived and reviewed video evidence that supported the witnesses' accounts. During questioning, Burr admitted to taking the glasses, but denied physically pushing or striking other patients. So he was just swinging on everyone.
He had a moment. He forgot about it, man. That poor old man.
Dude, imagine waiting for mids, boof, dirt, and then literally seeing an old man spaz out, or you being the old man and spazzing out. Like, you're so addicted to boof that like you don't want to wait. He was probably there for an hour. Nevertheless, he was charged with battery on a person over 65, even though he is 71. So I think if you're 71 and you batter someone of your age, I don't think it should be an additional charge, but whatever. Theft in the first degree, I guess, for taking the sunglasses, and criminal mischief, damage of over $200. He was released the following day after posting a $1,500 bond. They also issued an order prohibiting from returning to True Leaf.
Glenn will probably pull up to every True Leaf ever, and you got to hit him with the...
You smoke poop.
Yep, forever now. And
he's like, cool. I smoke poop, sorry. I smoke poop, and I'm mad. I'm not going to wait any longer.
And Glenn, buddy, if you're ever listening, reach out to us, man. We want to talk to you.
So, this company has over 100 so many locations, still can't get patients in and out of their fucking dispensary in a timely manner. I don't know if that's because of their sales tactics or what's going on at the counter, but that's crazy, man. For anyone to lose their mind like that, like, that's nuts. And if Glenn was like a normal dope head at a dope house, like, he would have just got his ass beat and thrown out. Like, he would have never got the police called on him. So just completely losing at the legal dispensary in Florida, bro.
Don't they have security at those places?
I guess they finally got rid of their armed security at every location.
Wow.
Which they didn't need.
No, but I mean, so here's my take on it. Had they had security in general, then, another patient would have never had to have accosted. How much of this is really truly his fault for not providing a safe place for their patients to properly get medicine on time? I don't know.
No, it's not fair to have a bunch of sick people wait and arguing with each other. It's crazy.
It is. That poor old man could have literally been having a throbbing tumor in his nutsack or somewhere.
Oh my God, he just needed one hit of a vape to calm down.
Yeah. I'm not trying to victimize the guy that assaulted some dude and whatever the fuck sunglasses were $250.
He's like, I need my CBD. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. He's probably never smoked weed like you and I have smoked weed. And I'm going to start to sound like Tyler Durden here a little bit, but it's the truth. There's people out there that you can give them dog shit, and because they had no alternative, no knowledge whatsoever, that dog shit can make all the absolute difference in their life. And also why places like who want to continue to feed and shovel patients who deserve better what they're currently doing. Let's spin away from talking about any more companies and tell you about what I was doing last night. So last night I was at one of the first actual sessions that I've been to in this state, which is really cool to sort of see. Florida did the thing where they monopolized on it by making them like vendor days, unless it's like a glass event, you don't really see a lot of sessions in South Florida. Because if there's not vendors wall to wall or something to make the dudes money, these guys don't ever focus on. And please don't take this as a knock, but take my idea as I'm talking about it, please. So no one really creates a safe space for people to get together the same way, to just get together and socialize, like make it a private event. Not with the sole purpose of having a ton of vendors for patients to spend, money at the door and money with the vendor. I totally get that concept of supporting local, dog. Don't think I'm not with that. I am, but let's go back to what I'm talking about. So the glass community does a better job of this, of providing sessions, essentially, which is literally just tables, a space for people to sit down, bring their glass. Most people that are doing that are already medical patients, and most of the time they're smoking concentrates. So it's a great way to see, what this patient has or what works for them. You guys, could possibly, share terps, do whatever the fuck, or even just talk about them. I was in a room full of people that were, doing this, and it was a glass show for someone that was making glass hookahs, which are fire as fuck, actually. Each hookah has 4 glass connects and, for 4 hoses, and they're all super balled out, and they look like these real big badass recycler rigs. But the difference is, instead of the mouthpiece, it's a 4-hose hookah with the nail. So you just rage a huge nail on it, cap it, and you and your homies can just fucking rage a hookah dab, which is fire as fuck. So everyone was doing that. It was a total vibe, but really the only people I sort of gravitated to were the 2 other hash makers in the room. And so I got to talk to them. And this is where my point is going to wrap around everything I'm saying. So bear with me if you're wondering, what the fuck is he talking about? So yeah, I got to give the disclaimer sometimes. So this guy shows me a box of terps, essentially, different hashes. One of them is melt, which if you were looking at my story a couple days ago, and I'll actually repost it again after these episodes drop so that people have some sort of oh, what the fuck was he talking about? This guy had really amazing 90U melt. You know, and what melt is, it's pre-rosin. It's the heads, you know, just this ice water hash, essentially, right? But it looked like a puddle. It was fucking grease. It literally looked like sap, which is how you can tell, man, that's 5-6 star hash. Like there was, when I dabbed it on a nail, there was no residual grease, like resin, grain, grit, nothing whatsoever. It melted down to an absolute puddle, cleaned up the same color it looked in the jar, didn't burn dark. If anyone smokes hash, listen to what I just said, you'll know exactly what I mean. And that means it was superior quality. Now, on to the rosin. So there was 5 jars in that box. 2 of those jars are run on Athena salts. The other 3 were no-till organic. So in the smells alone, and it's something that like maybe a new patient's never going to be able to pick up like right away, but if you've been around the block long enough, you'll pick it up fairly quickly. And so you smell the first of the 3 organic no-till, you know, just which means living soil. You know, it doesn't mean salt, you know, nutrients. Everything's done with organic teas that are brewed. You know, and you essentially feed the soil feeds the plants. It's very different from when you're running hydroponics, which is what I mean when I say salts, and you're power feeding plants a special recipe of different salts and solutions and things in that category to create a very, very resinous, big, fat growing plant in a very short amount of time, you know, so both concepts are very different from each other. But anyways, you could smell the salts, the salt, like all of the extra things that you're not supposed to do when you can smell that a grow is, you know, had to use something or didn't wash something out or didn't flush something. You smelt it more on one flavor than the other, but you definitely smelt it there. And the other 3 were true. It was like if you've ever taken a fresh plant and smelled it up close, it was the true definition of that terpene expression. Now, the guy next to him, that's hashmaker number 1. Hashmaker number 2, I asked him the same question. Out of all the jars he had about like 6. Only one of them was no-till organic, and the other 5 were all Athena run, essentially. So out of all of those jars, you wouldn't be able to find the difference of what was organic and what wasn't. My point of saying all that is you can do things the right way. But more often than not, if you have to rush to get to market, if you're rushing to compete and rushing to be first, you're going to miss a few steps. And it always starts with your grow. A grow is a reflection of everything else. You know, I can't polish a fucking turd. Well, I can to an extent, but really you can't, because everything I just explained, it shows up. And when you see other people's hash, you can tell whether or not like, oh, well, maybe there is something better out there. And I think that point right there is so pivotal for patients on a socializing level. And it doesn't really happen too much. So if anyone who listened to that long fucking rant can essentially or wants to do something, holler at your boy. I'm always happy to move something like that forward. Not at the really need of monetizing for any reason, but more or less to have a meeting place for people to link up. You know, really the only requirement that they be patients. That's literally it. You know, private event for patients, have the space to come out, feel comfortable, you know, like, and do what you do. Maybe even educate you guys a little bit, you know, whatever. But that doesn't happen. You have events.
Is there going to be pizza there?
Yeah, we know a guy. We actually do know a guy. What's his Instagram page again?
Blazing Turtle Pizza 51.
Yeah, so do me a favor and go follow Blazing Turtle Pizza 51. That's the only homie that I fuck with the name that he has. He knows that he's very special in both our hearts.
If we do events, do I have to tell anyone who I am, or can I just be there as a custody or a patient? Sorry.
Look, he just undid everything I said in like one fucking. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You can totally show up as come as you are, dog. Kurt Cobain. Whoa. So that sound means we've come to the end of another episode. If you've listened all the way through, let's just say I appreciate you. We appreciate you. As always, if you like what you hear or you don't, go and follow us and let us know how we did at Square Grouper Podcast on Instagram. I will be in Florida now in July, actually. I was originally looking at August, so I'm going to try to figure out something to do for you guys while I'm down there. Maybe some stash and dashes or something. You know, who knows? We'll figure it out. Again, if you want to follow more of my co-host, go check him out at Florida. Wait, FL? Florida?
Spell it out.
Florida Trees, plural, News at, wait, no, I fucked that all up. Follow him on Instagram. You know the deal. You know his voice. At Florida Trees News. There we go. If you want to follow me and my bullshit, you can follow me at @FoxTracks_. If you want to see the hash I've made in the past or any of the actual cannabis stuff, on the other page, follow me at FoxTracks in the Wild, which I will actually start posting more medically relevant stuff. I actually reached out. One of the dudes in Ohio that like saw me at that sesh was someone from Tennessee that I actually been following me for like 8 years. And you know, my main page got deleted. And the thing that I regret and hate most about that, aside from all the memories and messages, are a lot of those really well thought out posts where I explained a lot of things in very like simple ways for people. But I also talked about doing CBD recipes, because I was at a gas station with the homie the other day and I saw that they're selling 25 milligram gummies. Like the whole bag has 25 milligrams, which means there's 5 gummies with 5 milligrams a piece or less for $15, which if you think about it is fucking insane. It's insane. I mean, I think it comes in at about like, I don't know, $5 or $10 per gram.
Gummy bears.
Yeah. So for that, I'm actually going to start reposting things like how to make your own this and that and how to save money. Like I'm glad to say I don't have a CBD company like that anymore, but I will try to work together with some distributors and some people to try to provide you guys that stuff at a better price. And like, that's just a fucking joke. Or at the least to give you the raw so you can make it yourself. Like, that's fun. Enjoy that. But on that note, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow us on our socials. Let us know how we're doing. We should be dropping next episode fairly soon, while also fucking around and trying to get someone on here to talk. So thanks again, guys, and look forward to the next one. Peace.